So odds are you've had some form of test anxiety before. You walk into your exam and your heart's pumping and your mind's racing, and it probably wasn't beneficial. It probably hindered your exam score, actually. So in this video, I'd like to talk about how I personally overcame test anxiety and how I think you can as well. Stick around to the end, and I'm going to share a clip of a movie that was the most influential thing that helped me get over my test anxiety. So the first thing I have to say is that you should probably know your general exam grade before you take it. And this is going to come down to how have you been doing on your homework? Have you been cheating? Have you been doing well? And do you actually understand the class? Have you been going to class every day? If you've been going to class every day, you've been doing your homework and you understand it, you probably do fine. I've had maybe one exam where I had a real curveball where the actual content of the exam was not lining up with what we were actually taught in class. So as a whole, if you've been going to class and you understand the content, you'll probably do well on the test. And as far as homework goes, just don't cheat. And if you do cheat, make sure that you actually have some work there so you understand where you got your answers from. Don't just get answers from someone, because that's useless. You're not going to learn from anything from that. But if you really don't know what you're doing and you have to look something up, make sure that there's some work to go along with it so you can teach yourself how to do the problems. Because just the answer is not good enough. And there's a reason why in high school and college, usually you have to actually show your work, because that shows the professor that you know what you're doing. The second thing that's really helpful in understanding is that one test is not going to make or break your grade in the class. In fact, you could probably screw up 2 tests and still do just fine. I've had classes where I've had bad tests, but I still came out with an AB. The worst grade I've ever had is BC in a class, and I had pretty bad tests, and that was because my learning was lagged about a week after I needed to know the stuff. So I'd take the exam, and then I'd lag, and then a couple days after the exam, then I got the content. And that was my fault. I should have studied more. But I still passed. I went into the exams. I knew that I probably didn't know enough, but I knew about 75% of the material going into the exam. I just didn't know the nuances. And I learned it after, which is not how you should do this. You should go into it more prepared than I did. But even then, I still passed the class with a pretty decent grade. Not the best grade, but I passed. And you need to understand that you don't need to get an A in every class. Now, if that's your goal, that's fine. But you need to be learning and proving that you can learn. And college isn't, or high school for that matter, it's not all about the grade. It's about what else you're doing. If you got just B's, but you were doing all this other stuff on the side, you're working a job, you're in all these clubs and activities, employers are going to see that. So don't worry that that one exam is going to make or break your future, because it's not. When you sit down in that seat, that probably, unless it's a graduate level, certification exam, if it's not one of those, it's not going to make or break your future. And you just need to know that. So a third thing I'm going to urge you to do is to go to all your class review sessions and see if you can get your hands on the last semester's exam. If you can figure out what your professor or teacher tested the last class on, you have a very good indication of what she'll be testing you on, or he will be testing you on in the next class. This is pretty simple stuff, but if you can find last semester's exam, you can go through and say, these concepts are on it, these concepts are on it, this wasn't on it. And it's going to help ease the wonder as to what could be on it. A lot of the worrying in studying comes down to not knowing what's going to be on the exam. So if you can try and get an indication of what's going to be on it, then you can know better. And if you're not provided last semester's exam, just ask your teacher what concepts might be on the exam. And usually they'll give you a general idea, and that's where you start. Attack that area first. And when you know those general concepts really well, then you probably have 75% of your exam already laid out for you that you know you're going to get right. Pivoting from different strategies that I use to get over anxiety, I'd like to talk about when I was a sophomore in high school. I was taking US history class, and my professor made us watch a movie called Bridge of Spies. And the general gist is there's a Russian spy, and we're going to trade him for an American spy with the Russians. And throughout the movie, you have Russian man and American protagonist man that are working together. He's like a lawyer. And the lawyer is worried for this Russian guy. And he'll ask things like, are you worried about this? And the Russian guy will respond with, would it help?
Do you never worry? Would it help?
When I watched that, it really just changed my mind overall on why do I worry about things? Because if I'm worrying about something and it's not going to help me, I should probably try not to worry about it. I know that we can't completely control our emotions, and not everyone can control it as easy as others. But if you're just getting super stressed about an exam that you know you have to take, why would you worry about it if you know that the worrying is going to negatively affect you? Now, this isn't to say that you shouldn't worry at all, or that you shouldn't take studying seriously. You absolutely need to take studying seriously. But if worrying is going to get in the way of you studying, you shouldn't worry as much. You should try and reduce your worrying so that you can study more. And if you study more, you understand the content more. And if you understand the content more, you can go into the exam knowing that you will know what's on the exam. The more you study, the better your grade. So to recap everything so far, we have you should already know what's on your exam before you take it. Don't cheat on your homework. One test is not going to make or break your grade, likely. Go to your class review sessions and study your previous exams. And would it help to worry? And I think all of those things encompassed the reason why I don't really worry about tests anymore. I study for them, I take them seriously, but I don't go in with tons of nerves and adrenaline pumping through my system. So if you found this video helpful, please like and subscribe if you want. It would be really helpful for me as I'm a new channel and I'm trying to grow. So if you like content like this, subscribe and you'll find more of it because I'm going to try and post up every week. Thank you.